Kate Nelson rubbed her tired eyes and leaned back in her chair. The small monitoring room at Sierra's listening post was quiet except for the soft hum of equipment. Stars filled the viewport beside her desk, cold and distant. She had been on shift for 10 hours straight, monitoring deep space signals. Most days were boring. Today was not. A light flashed on her console. Kate sat up straight and tapped the screen. The signal was faint, but definitely there. It didn't match any known patterns in the database. "Computer, analyze signal origin," she said. The computer beeped. Signal origin, HT 192,281 star system. Distance, 5,817 light-years. Kate frowned. That region had no known colonies or outposts. She typed commands into her console, running the signal through more filters. Computer, estimate signal age. After a moment, the computer responded. Signal age estimate, 40,216 years, plus or minus 50 years. Kate froze. That couldn't be right. Humans had only been in space for about 700 years. She ran the test again. The result was the same. She pressed the comm button. "Commander Harris, I need you in monitoring room 3. Now." Jack Harris arrived 5 minutes later. He was tall with gray hair cut short and a serious face. "What have you found, Nelson?" "A signal, sir. It's unusual." She showed him the data on her screen. "It's human in origin, but according to all our tests, it's over 40,000 years old." Harris stared at the screen. "That's impossible." "I know, sir, but I've run the tests 3 times. Harris scratched his chin. "Can we decode it?" Kate played the signal through the speakers. At first, it was just static. Then, faintly, they heard words in an old form of English. "It follows. It never stops. If you receive this, change course immediately." The message repeated in another language, then another. 12 languages in total, Kate said. All human languages. Some I don't even recognize. Harris leaned closer to the screen. "Any identification data?" Kate nodded. "Yes, sir. It identifies the sender as the Starseeker colony ship." Harris's eyes widened. "The Starseeker. That ship disappeared during the first wave of colony missions. It was heading to the Epsilon Eridani system, but never arrived. That was only 400 years ago, not 40,000. "I know, sir. None of this makes sense." Harris was quiet for a moment. "What do you think it means?" "It follows. It never stops." Kate shook her head. "I don't know, but it sounds like a warning." "Or a threat," Harris said softly. Over the next week, Kate led a team of specialists who studied the message. They confirmed it was from the Starseeker, but couldn't explain the time discrepancy. They found coordinates embedded in the signal, pointing to a star system 70 light-years away. At the end of the week, Harris called Kate to the main conference room. 5 high-ranking officers from the Interstellar Alliance sat around the table. "Specialist Nelson," said Admiral Patel, "we've reviewed your findings. The Alliance has decided to send an expedition to these coordinates. The ship Aurora will depart next month." Another officer added, "We want you on that mission." Kate felt her heart beat faster. "Me, sir?" "You found the signal," Harris said, "and you understand it better than anyone. Captain Wright has requested you personally." Admiral Patel slid a data pad across the table. "This is classified now. Whatever sent that message, whatever the Starseeker was warning about, if it's still out there after 40,000 years, we need to know what we're dealing with." Kate thought about the message. "It follows. It never stops." "I'll go, sir," she said. As she left the meeting, Kate couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. Why would a colony ship send a message that took 40,000 years to reach them? And what could possibly stalk the stars for that long? Whatever it was, she had a feeling they were about to find out. The Aurora was the newest ship in the Alliance fleet. It gleamed silver against the black of space as Kate boarded at the Mars orbital station. Captain Daniel Wright met her at the airlock. He was shorter than Kate expected, with kind blue eyes that didn't match his stern reputation. "Specialist Nelson," he said, shaking her hand. "Welcome aboard. Your work on the signal impressed me." "Thank you, sir," Kate said. "I'm still not sure what to make of it." "None of us are. That's why we're going to find out." Captain Wright led her through the ship. The corridors were clean and bright. Crew members nodded as they passed. The Aurora could hold 50 people, but only 30 were on this mission. "I've assembled experts from different fields," Wright explained. "Dr. Martinez is our xenorchaeologist. She studies alien ruins, though in this case she'll be studying human ruins, if we find any." They entered the science lab where a woman with curly black hair was organizing equipment. She smiled when she saw them. "You must be Kate," she said. "Olivia Martinez. I've read your report on the signal a dozen times. Fascinating and terrifying at the same time." "This is Paul Kim, our AI specialist," Wright continued, pointing to a young man working at a computer station. Paul looked up and waved. "Hey, nice to meet you. And this is Lieutenant Laura Bell, our military advisor." A tall woman in a uniform nodded from across the room. Her expression was serious. "Why do we need a military advisor?" Kate asked quietly. Wright's voice dropped. "Whatever the Starseeker was warning about, we need to be prepared." Later, Kate met Ben Taylor in the ship's library. He was older than the others, with glasses and a gray beard. "I'm the historian," he explained. "I study old stories and legends. Have you found anything that might explain the message?" Kate asked. Ben showed her his tablet. "Maybe. I found references in ancient logs to something early space travelers called the Stalker between stars. They described it as a shadow that followed ships. Most historians thought it was just space madness or old superstitions." Kate felt a chill. "But you don't think so?" "I'm keeping an open mind." The Aurora left Mars' orbit the next day. Kate watched from the observation deck as Earth and then the Sun grew smaller behind them. They would travel faster than light soon, using the fold drive to reach their destination in 3 weeks instead of 70 years. Captain Wright's voice came over the speakers. "All crew to secure positions. Preparing for fold jump in 5 minutes." Kate found her assigned seat in the control room. The fold jump always made her nervous. Bending space felt unnatural, even though humans had been doing it for centuries. Dr. Martinez sat beside her. "First time on a long-range mission." Kate nodded. "Don't worry. The weird feeling passes after the first jump." The countdown finished. The stars outside the viewports stretched into lines, then vanished. The ship shuddered. Kate's stomach turned. Then everything was still. "Fold jump complete," said the navigator. "All systems normal." 2 days into the journey, Kate noticed something strange in the ship's sensor data. There were small gravitational waves that didn't match any known pattern. She showed her findings to Captain Wright and Dr. Martinez. "These readings don't make sense," Wright said. "There's nothing out there that should cause this." Dr. Martinez studied the data. "It's almost like something is following us through fold space." Kate remembered the message. "It follows. It never stops." "Could it be some natural phenomenon?" she asked, hoping for a simple explanation. "Maybe," Wright said, but he didn't sound convinced. That night, Kate couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the message, about the mysterious Starseeker colony, and about what might have happened to them 40,000 years ago. And worst of all, she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever had stalked them was now stalking the Aurora too. 3 weeks passed. Kate spent most of her time studying the strange gravitational waves. They came and went, always just at the edge of the ship's sensors. No one could explain them. "Approaching target system," announced the navigator. "Exiting fold space in 3 minutes." The Aurora shuddered as it returned to normal space. The view screen showed a yellow star with 6 planets. "Which one was the colony?" Kate asked. Captain Wright pointed to the 3rd planet. "According to the coordinates, that one." The planet looked dead. It was mostly brown with small blue oceans, no green anywhere. Scans showed an atmosphere with oxygen, but no signs of plant life. "That's strange," said Dr. Martinez. "The air has oxygen, but nothing's making it. Could it be artificial?" asked Lieutenant Bell. "Maybe. We need to get closer." The Aurora entered orbit around the planet. The ship's sensors picked up metal objects on the surface. "I'm detecting ruins," said Paul Kim. "Definitely human structures, spread across the northern continent." Captain Wright called a meeting. "We need to send a team down. Dr. Martinez, you'll lead. Take Lieutenant Bell, Paul, and Kate." "Me?" Kate asked. "I'm not trained for field work." "You know the signal better than anyone. You might see something others miss." They prepared for the landing. Kate had never worn an expedition suit before. It felt heavy and awkward. "It gets easier," Dr. Martinez told her. "Just follow my lead down there." The shuttle landed on a flat area near the ruins. When they stepped outside, Kate felt a deep sadness. The land was completely barren. No plants, no animals, just dust and rocks. In the distance, broken buildings rose against the orange sky. "This was once a city," Dr. Martinez said, checking her scanner. "Population of maybe 50,000. They walked through empty streets. The buildings were made of metal and stone, worn by thousands of years of wind and dust. Some structures had strange designs that didn't look like normal human architecture. They were advanced," Paul said, "more advanced than we are now." "Then what happened to them?" Lieutenant Bell asked, her hand resting on her weapon. No one had an answer. They reached what seemed to be the city center. A large building stood there, less damaged than the others. "Some kind of civic center or government building," Dr. Martinez guessed. Inside, they found corridors and rooms filled with dust. Strange machines lined the walls, their purpose unclear. In one room, they discovered a sealed door. "It's been preserved," Paul said, examining it. "Some kind of energy field has kept air and dust out." "Can you open it?" asked Dr. Martinez. Paul worked on the control panel. "It's using a power source I don't recognize, still active after all this time." The door slid open. Inside was a small room with a pedestal in the center. On the pedestal sat several crystal cubes. "Data storage," Paul said, "extremely advanced." Dr. Martinez carefully picked up one of the cubes. "We need to take these back to the ship for analysis." As they were packing the cubes, Kate wandered to the back of the room. She found writing on the wall, carved deep into the metal. It was in an old Earth language, but she could make out some words. "It came from the stars," she read aloud. "It followed us here." Lieutenant Bell joined her. "What else does it say?" Kate traced the words with her finger. "It hunts us, one by one. It learns. It adapts. We try to hide, but it always finds us." A cold feeling spread through her chest. This matches the warning in the message. Dr. Martinez looked over their shoulders. "We need to get these data cubes back to the ship. They might tell us what happened here." As they left the building, Kate noticed something strange. The dust on the ground seemed to shift in a way that didn't match the wind. Just for a moment, it looked like a shadow moved across the ground toward them. "Did you see that?" she asked. The others hadn't noticed anything. On the shuttle ride back to the Aurora, Kate couldn't shake the feeling that something had seen them. Something that had been waiting for a very long time. Back on the Aurora, Paul and Dr. Martinez worked to extract information from the crystal cubes. Kate helped when she could, but the technology was beyond her understanding. 3 days passed with little progress. "These crystals are incredible," Paul said, showing Kate his findings. "They can hold 1,000,000 times more data than our best storage systems. Have you learned anything about what happened to the colony?" Kate asked. Paul nodded slowly. "Some. The colony was called New Eden. It was successful for many years. They built cities, had children, developed new technology. Then what went wrong?" Paul's face grew serious. something arrived. From space. At first, they thought it was just equipment malfunctions. Then people started disappearing. Captain Wright called everyone to the main lab where Dr. Martinez had set up a viewer for the crystal data. The screen showed a man with a tired face. He wore old-fashioned clothes and looked scared. "This is Colony Director Peter Watson," the man said. "Day 547 since first contact. It's getting worse. We've lost half the population now." The image flickered. The same man appeared again, looking older. "Day 738. We know more about it now. It's not solid. It's like a living shadow. It can move through walls. It can take shapes. Yesterday it looked like my wife. I almost didn't notice until its eyes were wrong." Kate felt cold. The others watched silently. "What does it want?" Director Watson continued. "We think it feeds on consciousness, on thought itself. When it takes someone, it absorbs their knowledge. It learns. It's getting smarter." The recording jumped ahead. Day 901. "We're building a containment chamber. Dr. Lewis thinks we can trap it using special energy fields. If we succeed, we'll send warning ships to other colonies. If we fail," he paused. "If we fail, maybe no one will ever find us." The screen went black. Then it showed a different person, a woman in a lab coat. "This is Dr. Samantha Lewis. The containment failed. The entity adapted too quickly. We're down to 200 people. We've discovered it's attracted to technology, to energy. It follows signals. We're shutting down everything except this recorder and the long-range beacon." The woman looked tired, her eyes hollow. "The entity is not solid, but it can assemble matter around itself to make temporary bodies. It prefers human shapes now. It mimics us. It studies us. We think it came from deep space, maybe another galaxy. It might be ancient, older than humanity." The recording flickered again. "Final message. There are 50 of us left. We're going underground to the old bomb shelters. We're leaving this recording and the warning signal. The entity is dormant now without energy sources, but if anyone comes here, it will wake up. It will follow you home. It never stops." The screen went dark. The room was silent. "That's all we could recover," Dr. Martinez said quietly. Kate thought about the shifting dust she had seen on the planet. Had it been watching them? "Captain," said Sam Green, the communications officer, "I'm picking up strange distortions in our transmission patterns." "What kind of distortions?" Wright asked. "I'm not sure. It's like something is tasting our signals." Lieutenant Bell stood up. "Captain, with respect, we need to leave this system immediately." Wright nodded. "Prepare for departure. I want to be in fold space within the hour." As the crew dispersed, Kate noticed a strange shadow in the corner of the lab. When she looked directly at it, it was gone. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Amy Rodriguez was checking the ship's power systems when she noticed unusual fluctuations in the energy grid. "That's not possible," she muttered. The reading showed energy being drawn from multiple systems, but nothing was using that power. Amy didn't see the darkness gathering behind her, slowly taking shape. Amy Rodriguez felt cold suddenly. The engine room was usually hot, but now her breath made small clouds in the air. She turned and saw nothing, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. "Hello," she called. "Is someone there?" Her comm unit crackled. "Amy, it's Kate. Are you seeing any power problems down there?" "Yes." "How did you know?" "It's happening all over the ship. The captain wants everyone to meet in the main hall." Amy gathered her tools and headed for the door. As she reached for the control panel, she noticed her shadow on the wall. It moved differently than she did, turning its head when she didn't. Amy froze. In the main hall, Captain Wright was speaking to the gathered crew. "We're experiencing ship-wide anomalies. I want everyone to stay calm and follow emergency protocols." Kate noticed Amy wasn't there. She whispered to Lieutenant Bell. "Amy should be here by now." Bell nodded and touched her comm unit. Rodriguez, what's your location? There was no answer. The lights in the hall flickered. The temperature dropped. It's on board, Kate said, her voice shaking. The entity from the planet. It followed us. Some crew members laughed nervously. Others looked scared. That's impossible, someone said. How could it get through our shields? Dr. Martinez stood up. The record said it's not solid. It doesn't follow normal physical laws. The door to the hall opened. Amy walked in, but something was wrong. Her movements were stiff, unnatural. Her eyes didn't blink. Amy, Paul called. Are you okay? Amy's mouth opened. Her voice sounded wrong, like multiple voices speaking together. I am learning. This form is useful. Lieutenant Bell drew her weapon. That's not Amy. The thing that looked like Amy tilted its head. Not just Amy now. More. Its body began to change, the skin becoming dark and fluid-like. Parts of metal from the ship's walls and floor moved toward it, adding to its form. Everyone out, Captain Wright shouted. Get to the emergency pods. Panic erupted. People ran for the doors. Kate grabbed Paul's arm and pulled him toward the exit. Behind them, the creature was growing larger, absorbing metal and plastic from the room. In the corridor, Lieutenant Bell organized the fleeing crew. Stay together. Don't let anyone get isolated. Kate and Paul ran toward the science lab. We need the data from the crystals, Kate said. If we're going to fight this thing, we need to know how. They reached the lab and found Dr. Martinez already there, downloading data to portable units. I got most of it, she said. The colonists tried to contain it. They used special energy fields. What kind of energy fields? Paul asked. I don't know yet, but they. A scream echoed from somewhere in the ship. The lights went out. Then emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in red. Captain Wright's voice came over the comm system. All crew to evacuation stations. This is not a drill. The ship has been compromised. Kate grabbed one of the data units. We need to get to the bridge. The captain needs to know what we've learned. The three of them moved through the dim corridors. Twice they had to hide as strange shadow-like shapes moved past them. The ship felt colder with each passing minute. On the bridge, Captain Wright was coordinating the evacuation. Half the screens were dead, and several control stations were damaged. Captain, Kate said, we have information about the entity. The colonists found a way to contain it temporarily. How? Wright asked. Dr. Martinez connected the data unit to a working console. They used antimatter energy fields. The entity can't pass through them. We have antimatter in the engine core, Wright said. But using it as a weapon would destroy the ship. It might be our only choice, Lieutenant Bell said, entering the bridge. We've lost 12 people already. It's hunting us one by one. The ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared. Hull breach on Deck 3, reported the computer. It's not a breach, Kate said quietly. It's the entity. It's changing the ship, making it part of itself. The remaining crew gathered on the bridge. There were 22 of them left out of the original 30. Captain Wright looked at their scared faces and knew he had to make a decision. Dr. Martinez, how much antimatter do we need to create the containment field? She checked the data on her screen. About half of what we have in the engine core. And if we use that much, can we still get home? She shook her head. No. We'd have enough for short jumps, but not enough to get back to Alliance space. Wright nodded slowly. Then we need another plan. Paul stepped forward. What if we don't try to get home? What if we go somewhere else instead? What do you mean? Lieutenant Bell asked. The nearest star. If we can't destroy this thing, maybe we can take it somewhere it can't escape. Kate understood. We could set the ship on a course into the star. The entity would be destroyed in the heat. And so would we, someone said. Not if we used the escape pods, Wright said. We could program the ship to continue on autopilot after we leave. They began to form a plan. Paul and Dr. Martinez would work on creating the antimatter containment field to trap the entity long enough for everyone to reach the escape pods. Lieutenant Bell would lead teams to get the remaining supplies they would need. The pods have enough air and food for 2 weeks, Wright said. There's an Alliance outpost 20 light-years from here. If we launch the emergency beacon, they might find us in time. As they prepared, the entity continued to spread through the ship. Walls melted and reformed. Corridors changed shape. Equipment moved on its own. And the shadows were everywhere. Kate and Paul worked in the antimatter control room. They had to manually override safety systems to divert the antimatter to the central cargo bay. If this works, Paul said, the containment field will hold the entity for about 30 minutes. After that, it will break free. That should be enough time for everyone to get to the escape pods, Kate said. The ship's comm system crackled. A voice that sounded like Captain Wright spoke. All crew report to Deck 5 immediately. Paul looked at Kate. Did the captain change the plan? Kate touched her personal comm unit. Captain Wright, confirm your last order. The real Wright answered from the bridge. I gave no order. It's the entity. It's using our voices now. Cold fear ran through Kate. It's learning faster than we thought. They finished the preparations and headed back to the bridge. On the way, they passed a corridor where the walls had been completely transformed. The metal had a strange, organic quality now, almost like skin. It pulsed with a faint light. On the bridge, Captain Wright was setting the final course. Once the entity is contained, the ship will continue toward the star at full speed. We'll have 7 minutes to get to the escape pods. Lieutenant Bell returned with her team. We've lost 3 more people. The entity is moving faster now, taking more of the ship. And more of us, Dr. Martinez added quietly. The plan was set. They would activate the containment field, trap the entity in the cargo bay, and then evacuate the ship before it flew into the star. Wright looked at each of them. This is our best chance, not just for us, but for everyone back home. This thing has survived for 40,000 years. We can't let it reach populated systems. They moved to their positions. Kate and Paul would activate the containment field from engineering. Dr. Martinez would monitor from the science station. Lieutenant Bell would coordinate the evacuation. As Kate and Paul reached engineering, the lights went out completely. They used flashlights to find their way to the controls. Ready? Paul asked. Kate nodded. Ready. They started the sequence. A loud hum filled the ship as antimatter was channeled to the emitters in the cargo bay. The temperature dropped further. From somewhere deep in the ship, they heard a strange noise. Not quite a scream, not quite a mechanical sound. The entity knew what they were doing. It was fighting back. The containment field activated with a flash of blue light. The ship shuddered as if in pain. Kate and Paul watched the readings on their screens. It's working, Paul said. The antimatter field is stable. Kate wasn't sure. Something feels wrong. The entity should be fighting harder. Captain Wright's voice came over the comm. Containment successful. All crew to evacuation stations now. They ran through the darkened corridors toward the escape pod bay. Other crew members joined them, all running, all afraid. When they reached the bay, Lieutenant Bell was counting people as they entered pods. Hurry, she said. We have 5 minutes before the ship reaches the point of no return. Kate looked around. Where's Captain Wright? Still on the bridge, Bell answered. He's making sure the autopilot stays on course. Dr. Martinez approached with her data unit. We need to take this with us. Everything we've learned about the entity is on here. The Alliance needs to know. Kate nodded and took the unit. As she did, she noticed something strange about Dr. Martinez's eyes. They were slightly wrong, too dark, with no reflection. Kate stepped back. You're not Olivia. The thing that looked like Dr. Martinez smiled. Its face began to change, becoming fluid and dark. Run, Kate shouted, pushing Paul toward the nearest escape pod. Lieutenant Bell fired her weapon at the creature. The shots passed through it like it was made of smoke. The false Martinez lunged forward, grabbing Belle's arm. Where it touched, Belle's skin darkened, and she screamed. Kate and Paul reached a pod with 3 other crew members. The door closed behind them. "Launch," Paul shouted. The pod's engines fired, pushing them away from the Aurora. Through the small window, Kate watched other pods launching. 7 in total. Less than half the crew had made it out. Inside their pod, one of the crew members was working the communication system. "This is Escape Pod 3 from the Alliance ship Aurora. Emergency situation. Request immediate assistance." The message would take years to reach the nearest outpost, but the pod would keep sending it. Hall activated the pod's small view screen, showing the Aurora growing smaller behind them. The ship was changing shape, parts of its hull flowing like liquid. "It's not contained," Kate said. "It tricked us." "But the ship is still heading for the star," Paul said. "Look at the trajectory." He was right. Despite the entity taking over, the Aurora was still on course toward the yellow star. "Why isn't it changing course?" someone asked. Kate thought for a moment. "Maybe it can't. It knows how to mimic us, how to take over our technology, but it might not understand how everything works." "Or maybe," Paul said slowly, "maybe someone is still fighting it on board." The screen showed the Aurora moving closer to the star. Its hull was now completely transformed, no longer recognizable as a human ship. It looked more like a dark cloud with metal pieces floating through it. "Captain Wright," Kate whispered. "He must still be alive in there, keeping it on course." They watched in silence as the ship reached the star's outer layers. The screen automatically dimmed as bright light flared. The Aurora began to break apart in the intense heat. Kate turned to the communications officer. "We need to send a new message, something that will last." Using Dr. Martinez's data unit, Kate composed a warning similar to the one they had received, but with new information about the entity's weaknesses and behaviors. She added everything they had learned. "We don't know if it's really dead," she told the others. "If even a small part survived, it could rebuild itself over time. The warning needs to last for thousands of years." The message was encoded using the same method as the original. It would repeat in 12 languages, embedded with a special signal that would allow it to be detected across vast distances of space. As their pod drifted through space, waiting for rescue, Kate looked at the star where the Aurora had been destroyed. She hoped the entity had died with the ship, but deep inside, she wasn't sure. Somewhere in the emptiness of space, a small shadow moved between the stars, following the trails of the escape pods. It was smaller now, weaker, but it was learning. It was adapting, and it still hungered.